All right. Should be up and running. Chat is now live. Let me just log in real fast. Make sure that this is running. Oh, jeez. Here we go. I just want to make sure this works, and it's like, nah. Figured it out. It was set to the wrong audio channel. Okay, now I'm going to go check Twitch real quick. What do you mean last live? All right, we're up and running. Cool. Keep this over here. Up. Now, see, part of the problem here is just that there ain't no freaking room. But I am getting this done anyway. This can go here, this can go here. I can just do chat only. If I can figure out how to do chat only. I don't want no chat. I want... thank you, chat only. Thanks, bro. Cool, there we go. And actually, you know what would make this easier? Pick up the Stream Deck. I did this. Yeah, right over the Stream Deck makes more sense. Okay, cool. And with that, we should be ready to go. I don't have too much extra to add on this week, like before we start. But I do have, this is a note that will come up again later. It will make more sense later as well. But, excuse me, disgusting, sorry. This is our last stream about the new changes that are in the PHB based on the articles that D&D Beyond had released. So that means the end of this particular stream, the poll will be back. And the way the poll works, I'll say this again at the end when I give out the link, or rather when I write it down in the chat. The poll stays open for 24 hours. All the DMs in the DM Roundtable get a vote in it. And that decides what we do next week so that I have time to set it up. But you guys as a community, there is an extra account within that poll to vote. So you guys can put in whatever thing you'd like to see. And then the account that I use for the jukebox, which is the all speaking, you guys get to put in for that vote. So the community also has a vote on what we see next week. I'm going to try to at least take out the things that we've done based on changes in the PHB, but I think I have a pretty good smattering of things. There's 10 options in the poll, so I think maybe in the future I might bring it down. I was trying to give people like as many options as possible, but it might actually make it easier for everybody if we smash that down. And I will continue to make sure that the whatever we did the week before isn't one of those options. Because it's silly to just keep doing the same thing over and over again. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm so gassy. I apologize. That's probably going to happen all night. I apologize. Yeah, I know. It's not just you guys who are like, you know who else probably upset about it? So gassy. But that's fine. You never know. You guys might also just be mad about it. Can't blame you there. Very unprofessional on my part. Much like when stuff like this happens.
Blah, 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 blah.
Having fun with this stuff, man. It's good stuff. I need to keep this note close because I will be using it. But for now, I'm going to keep this one here so we have the timestamps on hand. I can...
Look at you all organized and ready.
I'm trying. I have a
Proud of you.
feeling that at some point... This is behind the scenes knowledge for y'all. Generally speaking, if during one of these streams you hear the click click of me muting my mic, that means I'm running to the bathroom.
What did you eat?
I had Indian food. It was my own fault, but I had to eat it before it went bad.
Double no. Oh no, we're about to play the world's most dangerous game. Oh, I hate when you play the most dangerous game, Ogami. Oh no. Oh dear.
I don't think I'll ever be... I sent you and Oxy a video from Shits and Gigs, a clip where James on Shits and Gigs said, you know, Daddy was hungry last night, so Daddy ordered 8 pints of ice cream. And you know Daddy's lactose intolerant. And I was like, bro, calm down. Why are you trying to die?
Not trying to die. It's not that he's trying to die. My microphone was just like, huh! And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, I don't know what you think you're doing there, buddy. But yeah, I am lay ready. I am ready to be upset today. I know I'm going to be very upset today. I get to watch D&D turn its species into and diversity into stat blocks.
I feel like the species portion is not going to upset me as much as the other changes did. But, you know, I guess I could be knocked down a peg or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah, I kind of like the pegs I'm on. I much prefer these. No, and I was reading. I will say, to anyone watching. Thanks for joining in the comment section. The last video had a poppin' comment section.
Yeah, we had a good time. Please come in and tell us about your stories. Tell us what you want to do.
Tell us why we're wrong so we can tell us why we're right. Tell you why we're right.
And on the VODs and the highlights that come out later, feel free to send me a novel, because you could check the last highlight. There were many novels going back and forth.
Oh, I was reading them bit by bit. I think we only chimed in for one, but I was reading them bit by bit by bit. I will say a lot of great engagement. It was good to see the community reach out and really tackle what I think is safe to say are a lot of the common issues that I think a lot of us are sharing. But I did read a lot of cool counter thoughts to a lot of our complaints about 2024, though I do think that the discourse across the board is we didn't need this.
Yeah.
Certain parts of this were fine where they were.
home.
Yeah. We didn't need all that. Hey, but how have you been, Okami? Any fun new things?
Pretty good. Nothing really special.
I do come with a fun table story for you guys.
Yes, please share.
I was gonna see if I was gonna wait a little bit, but this is a fun one for me. We, as I think I mentioned before, that we are running a Waterdeep campaign in one of the groups that I'm in, and we have a ranger in our group. He is a wild grove. He is of the Emerald Grove. He's an astral elf, which is an interesting thing because, much like my Genasi, they don't need to sleep. They meditate for like 2 hours. They are from the astral plane. They come with like astral magics and stuff like that. It's kind of cool. But we were in our tavern, and literally the ranger gets a message. We see he's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You see a white cat walk up to you. And the guy in our group, one of my buddies, he looks and he goes, I look at the cat and I go, pss, 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 pss. And the DM goes, the cat responds, I've come with a message from the Emerald Grove. We all start losing our mind because in our head, he just a druid. And the druid's probably just like, I speak common. The whole time at the table, the rest of the session, we were just like, I cast to communicate with him.
That's the verbal component.
Mind you, he wasn't trying to cast the spell Speak with Animals. He literally was just going because he thought it was. He wanted a pet cat as a ranger, and instead got found by an Emerald Grove druid. I think we chuckled for about 15 minutes. Just it took a while to gain composure.
I love moments like that at the table.
Oh yeah.
That's like I have a friend who is I don't know how to describe it, but in a very neurodivergent way, like hyperfixates so hard on things. And one of the things she recently got into was D&D, and she's very awkward in both just a normal person way and in like a neurodivergent way. And she's been watching a lot of actual plays, and she expected that when she finally got to play D&D, that the people that she had just met, and a lot of them don't know each other either, were going to have like the same camaraderie and inside jokes that the people on the actual plays she was watching had. And like it disappointed her. And it's hard to explain that the idea is hard to explain for me that like you can't have inside jokes if you've never met this person before. Like that's stuff you gotta work to. Like those people have been playing forever. They know each other.
You can't just jump in there and be like, haha. It's like, no, stop. Slow down. Work your way up to this. You don't have enough badges yet.
Yeah. Maybe after like 2 or 3 sessions. Usually you get something silly in like the first 3 sessions, and then you could just ride that until the rest of your jokes start hitting. You just need one silly moment. You just can't. I can't even imagine the idea of sitting at the table, all strangers, people I've never met before, and being like, funny thing, but then not say anything after it. You know what I mean?
I mean, you could, but it's not going to go well.
And I feel bad. I want her to experience that, to have that experience. But if she goes to every table of, and this goes out for anyone, not just my one friend in particular. If you go to every table and expect to have a critical role like camaraderie with a bunch of strangers that you've literally just sat next to, and you don't get it that first session and you quit, you won't be able to get that kind of camaraderie. You definitely gotta build it up. You gotta play it.
Yeah, it's, and then sometimes you also have to recognize the flip side of it is that sometimes when you do go into a game with people you know, sometimes your inside jokes just don't work at the table either. It's just it rolls out of the fantasy setting, and forcing it can just be silly. I think we've all talked about the wild names people come up with for their characters for, you know, flavors and things of that nature. But there is a certain level in which you do have to accept that being over silly goose time can sometimes be a little of a nuisance for everybody at the table.
Yeah.
Though I would never chastise somebody for wanting to be a bit of a silly goose at a table. You know, I always want and always suggest that players aim for fun first. You know, D&D is a team-based game. So, you know, if you're not working with your team, that's the only time you're doing it wrong. And sometimes your team doesn't need your eternal, you know, private part jokes. I don't even know what to say. I feel like we say everything under the sun on the channel, and now here I am being like, oh, censorship. But
no, there's like there's a time and a place for sure.
Yes, there's absolutely a time and a place, and I think for the most part, most people do well to stick to that. I've had very few instances where I had to kind of sit there and just go, okay, you're doing too much.
And this isn't to say like we want you to downplay your role play or anything like that. Yeah. Just, you know, while you're playing the game, it's more enjoyable to everyone if you're all on the same page playing.
Yes, infinitely so.
That's how you can work yourself up to that like level of super camaraderie. The more you work together, the more you get to know each other. I was gonna say, I don't know how many people I don't know how big the overlap is between fans of Gatchaman and fans of D&D, but they just started a new series, and in it, the main Gatchaman team, like the Space Ninja team #1, there's actually 4 squads in this new universe. I don't know if that's always been the case, but in this new universe...
I just remember the original. I just remember the original 5.
There's 4 squads of 5, and like the main guys that we all know from the years are the main squad, and currently they're Jun the Swallow, basically like the Kimberly of the Space Ninja team. She went off on a mission and she's separated from the rest of her team, and the other people in like the backup squads are like, you can send one of us to this mission, and the lead scientist guy is like, you don't understand. Yes, one of you from any of these squads could fill in, but each Space Ninja team functions super well with the other members of their team specifically. They're a well-oiled machine. So those 4 people who are now without Jun will function super well, and you may help them, but they can't function at peak efficiency with a new cog in the 5. And the way that it's explained, like, makes the Space Ninja team, like, they show it from both sides because she's trying to infiltrate Galactor. So she's dressed up as one of the bad guys, and you see the Space Ninja team, like, backup squads. The girls are all like, you could just send me out there, I'd help. And then from the opposite perspective, you see Jun trying to pretend to be one of the Galactor agents, and they all work so well together that she's immediately found out. And I was like, that's cool how they split it right down the middle to show you both sides of this coin.
But it does make a lot of sense. It makes sense when, you know, you polymorph and don't know the mannerisms of a character. Like, you cannot just fill in their blank. You have to learn to. And I think that's where, like, a lot of cool stuff can come in with, like, studying a character or studying an enemy character for players, where it's just like, okay, yeah, your character could take the time to study and learn about this person if they want to mimic them. But I would add disadvantage to a player trying to perfectly mimic, like, a voice at a door. You know, like, especially if you're outside of, like, a Kenku, which is probably the only person I would give advantage on that to. And that's because of the nature of Kenku being master mimic.
Look at that. And that's also that sort of thing where you need to learn to be with the people around you. It's also a lot of our qualms for how they've changed character creation, that they're expecting you to have your entire character planned out from 1-20 before you make it. There were definitely people in the comments of that last highlight video that were like, nah, most people plan out their whole character 1-20. And I obviously don't have any empirical data on this, but I can tell you from experience that all the people I've met, that's not the case. There might be a thing they want to hit, or like, I want to be this class, but I've met maybe one person in my whole time playing D&D and being in the community that has, like, everything planned. And even then, it was them making stuff so that their character could be. They didn't know at level 1. What's up, Arvin?
But also, I feel like, Arvin, hey. Yeah, he's Dungeon Mommy here on time. That is always the magical question. She forever sends. She ever knows. She always knows. She was here last time after you did leave, much later, but we did tell her. But no, that does bring up a really good point. Like, as many times as I have played as a player versus being a DM, an idea of where I want my character to go is usually more story beat based than it is hard fact that's what I need to do, because there's a lot in a game that is outside of my control.
That too.
i.e., I don't know what the big bad is planning, so I can't really prepare ahead of time at level 1 in session 0. I don't know what what other players at the table are going to do. How we need to find a good way to maybe. I won't use the term balance each other out because I did have a fellow DM, Exo Close. He said, you got to you do have to get rid of the idea of balance, and I agree I agree to some extent because I think the created idea of balance, which is it makes everything perfectly fair, isn't possible in D&D.
Yeah.
Because the nature of D&D is that characters should be themselves. And that means diversity and that means difference. And I don't think as a DM I should punish a player for thinking a little heavily outside the box to slap stuff together.
Yeah.
You know?
If anything, we should be rewarding them. Oh, you're making this experience better for everyone as a group? Congratulations, here you go.
And to be fair, that's not to say I've never attempted to add an idea of balance, but my idea of balance usually comes from certain keywords. By an example, I think I've mentioned it before on the stream that I had at one point I had run one of my homemade campaigns that I had written, and it was based around the MOBA game Smite. The idea was that the gods of Smite were having a party. They all crashed. A world-ending event happened, crashing them into the standard world of the Sword Coast, and all the funkiness that was happening. One of the players, he wanted to use a specific weapon, the whip. He was like, I really like the idea of it, blah, blah, blah. So I created a growing whip for him. Not to necessarily balance him, but because he wanted to have more of a martial component on his ranger with a whip, kind of like a beast tamer idea. I wanted to support that. So, because he was of the Norse mythology at the time, I gave him a branch of Yggdrasil that had fallen through the gaps and essentially had become limber enough to be used like a whip. Or
sick.
At night, he could stand it in the moonlight. It wasn't something he ever got to, unfortunately, but he was learning that if he left it in the moonlight on an overnight and rolled, I think, a 2 or a 3, no, it was a 2 or a 4 on a 1d4, he could turn it into a short sword because the branch would harden in the moonlight like a mistletoe. Yeah. But that was only to give him a weapon option. Yeah.
Arvin,
Minecraft.
I like your idea.
Minecraft. I cannot play Minecraft.
This is Minecraft related. My nephew's having his birthday party, I think, this weekend. And it's Minecraft themed. And so my sister made an invitation that said mine, creep, and blast your way to whatever, to the party. And our oldest sister was like, you can't put creep on there because it's creepy. And we were like, no, that's like, creepers are a part of the game. And she was like, nah, it's creepy grammatically. And we were like, no, but it doesn't matter in this case. You're taking it out of context. In this particular context, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it does.
It wasn't like she wrote mine, creep, and explode your way. We're not asking for self-sacrifice at this birthday party.
I hope not. Kali Ma. The birthday party?
All right. I was talking to DM Lacara before this, but I'm assuming something happened. So, I thinks we're going to start without. I saw Nistrix's icon. It was green up until I said, okay, I'm going to turn on the jukebox. And then her icon died. I'm guessing that means she's not coming tonight.
I did see briefly the icon go green.
And Bacon's not in state, so I'm not I know he's not showing
It's
up.
okay.
Well, I mean, he
DM
also
Bacon will
lives in
stay
a different
crispy for
state.
us.
But I mean, he's out of his state right now.
DM Bacon will remain crispy for us. Don't worry. We love him. And I miss him all the time.
I know. I want to hang out with him so bad.
I just miss our D&D. I want to get into a campaign with him again one day. We might be old and gray, but I want to do it.
All right.
Because I'll be playing D&D until I die.
Hell yeah. Our generation will be in nursing homes if we make it there, playing D&D. Like that's what our arts and crafts night is going to be. That's what my room will be. My room will be just dice.
I want family game nights in my house to be me teaching my kids the beauty of D&D, and then having my wife stare across the table and be like, "Please stop."
No.
Let them go outside, and I'll be like, "No."
Tethram Blaze, his wife just had twins, and he's been making the joke forever. He was like, I don't have anybody to play games with, so I made my own. And when he had his twins, he was like, I have my own pod for everything. Everything good is 4 players. It's perfect. It's everything I've ever wanted.
Oh man, he's gonna have his own commander days. Oh man, it's gonna be bad.
Gonna be good times in that household.
Yeah, tell it's Friday night magic night in the house, and all of a sudden they're battling at the EDH table, which is the dinner table over pizza, over pizza and a counter spell.
Everyone out here playing blue.
Never.
But on tonight's agenda, we're going to look at the 10 new species. So I put in the title in species in parentheses because we are no longer calling them races, because calling them races apparently promotes racism. And I was thinking about this before. If you call them species, it makes them all sound more exotic. But speciesism is very difficult to say.
Yeah.
And humans are lazy, so bam, problem solved.
Yes. Triply yes. But I will say just from the start of the post, them saying the 10 species in the book, it annoys me because there's so many species.
Yeah.
So, and they've had 10 years.
And that's the best they could do. They could have at least said the 10 playable species.
Yes. Yes. This makes it seem like you're, and granted, yes, we do this all the time when it comes to new additions, new modules. You know, you're always going to get additional classes, species. I have to make sure I say species now, for the new species and subclasses, variants, and things of that nature, and adventure books and then eventual additional materials and DM guides. But 10 seems extremely limiting compared to the swath that has existed over time.
Yeah.
I think we've had enough years to go beyond 10. And while your species could be in a situation that has nothing to do with anything, you could have a world where every species is just like a human. It's just they look different. And that, to me, as an ideology, is cool. Something about the world has balanced everything to make every species a species. But this seems a little bit more intentional in a way I don't like. So I'll probably get further into it when we get deeper in.
For those of you on YouTube, you can follow along with us by clicking the video description. There's a link to whatever we're looking at, as long as it's one that was planned. So obviously this one was planned because it's our topic for today. For those of you on Twitch, I'm going to post a link and pin it for the next 30 minutes. So those of you who come in later can still see what we're looking at. And I believe that also sticks up for the VOD, because you're looking at the previous chat too, so that's fine.
Yes.
We're gonna skip this blah 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 as we go down. You can
no video.
The video on this one is at the bottom, which is weird.
Yeah,
I don't know why they did that, but okay. We're gonna skip the video because ain't nobody got time for that. But you still can save $60 today, and today only, because supposedly the book releases tomorrow. Oh, one other thing I was going to say is that if you have pre-ordered the books previously on D&D Beyond, if you got the digital versions of the books, and suddenly they're no longer available to you, because if you had a hero or master subscription to D&D Beyond, you could already read the books. WotC is trying to figure out what went wrong, because apparently some people, some people, even after they opened the books and read them, got a refund and had the book removed from their account. So they're trying to fix what's going on.
It happened to one of my friends.
Oh.
It happened to one of my friends, but then a friend of a friend had actually gotten an early release physical copy of his book, but it actually has typos and it's misaligned on the cover.
Oh.
So it's a potential that some physical editions may be a little funky looking.
I'm not sure if everyone is doing this, but my friendly local game store is doing an event where if you come to buy a book physically, because friendly local game stores can already sell the physical book, if you buy the book physically before the 20th and you come in with your book, you'll get free stuff because they're having a 50th celebration. I don't know if that's happening at all friendly local game stores, if that's like a thing, but my friendly local game store is doing that. I think their celebration...
Your local LGS.
Yeah. Their celebration is on Sunday, though, instead of Saturday. That's why I was like, I don't know if this is everybody, because I feel like if it was everybody, they would have celebrated on Saturday.
I don't know what day Gygax's spirit returns to save us from I don't know what day he returns.
Not from this edition, when will it be?
Hey, perfect timing.
I always sneak in just in time.
I saw your icon show up, and I was just like, aha. I was like, I don't know what she's waiting for, but I know it's gonna be good.
I appreciate the confidence.
Hell yeah. Now you too can be obsessed with us. Well, maybe, I don't know. I feel like, again, I'm gonna say, I feel like the upset, like most of what's gonna make me upset, we've already gone over. I feel like I'm at a low enough point where I'm not like woohoo about anything that it'll be fine for me.
I was gonna say, like, I mean, I feel like we're just kind of scratching the surface with the classes.
We're definitely running aground, I think, in the sea of what is 2024. We've definitely, I think, started to reach the banks and the shore. I guess is the best way to put it. But yeah. I'm worried that it's very rocky shore.
So, let's get into it. I'm just gonna scroll on down. So the weird thing is, okay, they're saying 10 playable species. 3 of them weren't included in the original player's handbook for 5e, but for some reason this particular article splits them into 2 different things. It says they're updated and it goes through all 10 of them, but then it's like, oh, by the way, 3 of these are technically new. They're not new if you've gotten any of the previous books, but they're technically new from a player's handbook. And I don't know, if I was arranging this article, I would have done it the other way around, to be like, yo, this is new. Here's what it is. But whatever, we don't work for D&D Beyond. It's fine.
Don't work for WotC.
In case you couldn't tell.
This wouldn't happen if you did.
We assure you, we would not have let this happen.
I may or may not have accidentally deleted the 2024 1D&D folder on the servers of WotC if I worked there. I don't know.
Repeatedly.
especially if it was written by one of our favorite authors of these articles. I would have been
Oh,
like, no,
God.
absolutely delete.
Oh.
I've gotta say, I'm surprised that they're including Azamar
Mm.
in
Oh, yeah.
the base handbook.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I love Azamar. That was my first 5e character was an Azamar. But yeah, like they're not like the other races. Like, first of all, you can be an Azamar and be another race.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't. Do they deal with that, or is that just you're an Azamar, so you look the same no matter who your parents were?
I think they're now
Sure.
making it. I think the idea, because they got rid of the idea of the
Doesn't say.
classes, the half species.
Is there no
Really?
half elf?
I think the only one we have is the halfling, and that's only because they're small.
Holy
That's the only
crap! They got rid of the half elf
I don't see the half elf anymore. It's just the elf.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
and the half orc.
The half
Oh,
orc is
I
now
think.
just
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
But they still have
Oh
tieflings.
no. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a good.
That
Those are
makes less
all
than no sense.
good points. This is how we beat racism. Nobody has sex anymore.
Yeah. We beat racism by removing any interracial marriage.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore. If we keep the species clean, we don't have to worry.
Why?
Oh my God.
Why are they doing this
an
so
entire
hard?
video on how WotC is actually being run by neo-Nazis.
That's Patreon content right there.
Yeah.
Yes, we absolutely can. Yes, we absolutely can.
They're removing any cross-species relationships. They're reintroducing the Norse gods to being like way more important than anybody else.
And we got some Lovecraftian warlocks. Let's go.
Yeah. We're like a half a step away from Red Skull here.
That's gonna be the new race in the first book. The Red Skull. Oh, correction, species. Sorry, can't say racing. Gotta make sure I say correct myself at all turns.
It
But
sounds better when you're talking about sentient races, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But it is very important that you brought up that distinction about the Aasimar. In Pathfinder, the Aasimar aren't considered half races. They don't normally do, but Pathfinder's a weird thing, and you can do it. It's just standard. It doesn't really matter much to people, and I think a lot of people prefer to go for some of the harder set races. But again, Pathfinder, I feel like, is a game built around a little bit more of a fun meta in which you want to build your character according to things all over the place. So you end up in places. Here, it looks like they're just like, oh, because you have glowing eyes, dark skin, and a halo, you're obviously not like anybody else in the coast. Damn, well, I guess that makes me an Aasimar. Huh.
It's true.
Secret
Wait,
minus...
are Aasimar dark now?
It depends on the depiction. A lot of them I've seen are.
Huh.
A lot of the ones that I've seen have been recently.
I guess they're trying to get away from the whole, like, traditional, like, Rembrandt, Raphaelite, like, angel-looking thing. Which, like, I mean, that's fine. That's whatever.
But it's D&D, and because we know the beauty of D&D is it can be anything you want it to be, I think it would be fun and fine to go whichever way you want to with the Aasimar, especially. Like, maybe even, like, ramping up. That would be a fun way to narrow the scope of it all in like the realm of WotC's D&D.
Instead of going the Henry Ford route, you can have whatever color you want as long as it's black.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Though I also feel like they're probably gonna have some stupid stuff like in the 2014 PHB in the section for tieflings. It's like tieflings are red or black, and then the picture of a tiefling they have right next to that is purple.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a blue tiefling.
Yeah.
And no one ever questioned it. They were just like, oh, okay.
Nobody ever paid attention to the flavor text.
Do whatever you want. That's the fun of it. Pinkertons ain't coming for you.
I have to say, I don't think I have ever thought about. Well, I'm one of those people that, like, when they read, does not see the imagery in their head. So, like, for me, I never picture what characters actually look like.
Huh.
I picture how they move. Like, if you describe a rogue, I will definitely see somebody, like, skulking or being, like, really lithe. But I do not picture hair color, eye color, facial structure, skin color. Like, none of that is a thing in my brain.
Interesting.
That's very interesting.
I think I do it a lot because I do a lot of theater of mind stuff in some of my campaigns. And I think that it's become almost instinctual for me to immediately semi-close eyes, paint perfect picture of what's going on, person and everything.
Yeah.
But
if I like stop, I can do it, but like I have to make myself.
That's kind of cool. That's really cool to me, though. I'm not gonna lie. That's actually kind of cool because it's a very interesting way you're seeing scene, and individuals are only as important as the actions taken within said scene.
Yeah, I will spend way more time focusing on somebody's like inner turmoil or like their facial expression, like or the way that they're moving. I don't. Well, Okami knows. I DM a game for him. Like, I am far more likely to describe what a place smells like or what food tastes like than I am to describe what any NPC looks like.
Okay.
I also I do see things in my head when I'm reading stuff. Like I have a vision of that person, but in my campaign, I've gotten more overt at describing things because I have found at my specific table, if I put out a mini, it doesn't matter what I describe that mini as.
It's that many.
Yeah, it's that many. So lately when I describe someone, I'm going into extreme detail and making eye contact with my players who don't remember this every time I have to describe someone new.
I think that's exactly why I force everyone into a theater of mind situation when I DM, or I prefer not having like the physical, because I had a player once ask me for the description of every person they met.
Oh my god.
And
I would be like, yeah, and you die.
Yeah, at first it was novel. I was like, okay. They got to the gate and the guard stopped them. He's like, could you describe the guards? And I was like, sure. 2 different sized guards. I kind of described them as like the typical big guy, little guy, orange to smog. If you played Dark Souls, we've all seen it. Kind of archetype of 2 guards. And he was like, oh, okay. Is there any distinct features about them? And I'm like, nope, look like guys. And he's like,
You look like guys.
I don't know if that's enough for my character to feel trustworthy on. And one of the players in that group was just like, well, good thing we don't need to stick around them. We can go inside.
I thought you were going to be
like, these guys are not a plot point. Move on.
I'm running into the opposite where if okay, so during D&Dversary, I was trying to speed up the game so we could get our guest player to play, who didn't get to play his character because my table would not move the game along. Like they had to go on everything, and so I introduced them. They found some were-rats, and they're not big, related to anything. They don't really matter. They're just around, and
they're just there.
My players were like, I need you to describe everything about them to me. And I'm like, no, I told you their most defining feature. They have 2 really big buck teeth. You don't really need to know anything other than that. And they sort of look like they're homeless. Like, you don't need to. But because I wouldn't tell them things, they took that as they were important and I was being mysterious. And I was like, no, they're just around.
Please move on.
Oh no, I would lose my mind. I would
I say
slowly
that
lose it.
every time Okami talks about
Yeah.
it.
No, seriously, I do as well. It's becoming a problem because I'll sit there and I'll just go, there's no way they're gonna keep harping on this, right? Like they're gonna let it go. They have to. They have to, right? Nope. Like clockwork, they lock in. And I'm just like,
That is the best way to
Why?
describe
Why?
it. My players love to lock in to stuff
I'm
that
like,
doesn't matter.
I'm like, guys, like now mind you, I've had it at my table, and when it happens at my table, I usually just debunk it by being like, listen, we can all die. And I've had to do that every once in a while only because I don't want my game to stop in place.
Mm.
And I have definitely had some players stop my game in place. Arvin, we have me, DM Shin, we got DM Lacara, and we got Okami. We are all here. Who knows if the mysterious Dungeon Mommy will pop in? I don't, like I said, we've never seen Dungeon Mommy and DM Lacara at the same time, so
That's
still
true.
not
They might be the
convinced.
same person.
I'm still not convinced one does not polymorph into the other at random points and then
Dungeon Mommy would
disappears.
definitely be my alter ego.
Like the opposite.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know
very
if it's like
little
a Bruce Wayne Batman kind of thing.
Is she your weredear?
She's
my
my weredear. I love it.
But let's dive in, guys. Let's definitely dive in
Let's do it.
I think we're gonna have a lot of anger. Yeah. But you start us off, DM Lacara, with Aasimar.
Oh god.
And the first thing they're getting is a Celestial Revelation. You can select the option each time you transform. All forms deal extra damage once per turn on an attack.
So this is something that makes so much more sense. Well, it would have made sense in the 2014 handbook. It doesn't make sense here because you're supposed to have built your character right from the get-go at level 1. So this is weird they're letting you choose them, but this is something that makes so much sense to me. And my example is always that Grim in my campaign is a Blood of Sparta tiefling, and they had multiple transformations. One of them's transportation, air hike, but the idea that in order to make it function on D&D Beyond, I had to make multiple feats that he could turn on and off, so that he could change his stats and get his new spell, his new ability when he devil triggered. And because I had to make all 3 of them to make it function properly, I was like, bro, when you devil trigger, just tell me which one you're gonna be. It's silly to have you choose one for the whole game.
I will give the counterpoint here. I mean, picking either, it was supposed to be tied to how you felt about being an Aasimar. Like, you either, the way it was described in the original book and what made me latch onto it and be like, I want to be this, was that you were either, like, not more lighthearted, but the more, like, typical righteous paladin sort of mentality of, like, I am the good guy, where you would have, I forget what it was called, but it was the one where you got the wings and you were all glowy and you did more radiant damage, but you weren't scary. Then you had the Scourge, that was the Protector Aasimar. That's what it was. That was the Protector Aasimar. Then you had the Scourge Aasimar, where you were still the good guy, but you were scary when they ticked you off. And you also did radiant damage to yourself in that form. Like, when you unleashed that burning energy, you were also hurting yourself. It was, like, barely contained. And then the Fallen Aasimar was when you had completely turned away from your heritage, and then you did necrotic damage. And you could move from one to the other if it was a sufficiently big turning point for your character. It said that in the notes. Like, if you, like, have a falling out with your celestial parent or something, you can become a Fallen Aasimar, and then you just exchange the one set of stats for the other. but it wasn't supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be a mood ring power. It was supposed to be tied to the very depths of who you were, and I loved that about it. And now just being like, ooh, is this monster like more susceptible to necrotic or radiant damage? Okay, I'll just go with that. Is to me again removing the ROLE play.
No, 100%. And you explaining it that way is actually it really helped me put into perspective how it was to be used, because it should shape the way your character interacts with the world.
Yeah.
And if you can consistently swap it on a whim, and again, in Grim in your character's case, I know it is. So in Grim's case, in Grimbo's case, I will say that like his character is, it's okay for his character to some extent be able to swap it on the fly, or not necessarily on the fly, but as need be, because of what it's based on.
Yeah.
Only in that specific situation.
Yeah.
And I would say it would have to come, for me, it would have to come with severe debuffs if you consistently are switching.
And
there's an idea.
I can't say defense.
And I only say that not to limit it. What's that?
I can't say in his defense, but he has, in the 4 years that we've been playing, he's transformed 4 times.
Wow.
I'm gonna
say. I don't need to nerf that.
I'm gonna say probably like, I don't know. That's got to be hundreds of hours of gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't have a standard session length. You play till the sun comes up.
That's interesting.
That.
Also, for the guy who goes down the most to not transform when you get regeneration in that form for a minute, that's a choice.
I'm gonna get back to that. Because I feel like that will take me on a tangent that will eat up this whole stream today.
Yeah, I've got an artificer that plays like that too.
yeah. I think that's a video on its own time. Maybe no vote next week. Maybe we just talk about like DM no-nos that we just don't allow at our tables ever again. Maybe it's time for that episode. I don't know. But I will say, going back to the ASMR, because you're mentioning that again, DM Lacara, it then makes this odd option, Inner Radiance, I guess more powerful. It's saying that it was previously called Radiant Consumption. It now deals radiant damage equal to your proficiency bonus at the end of each of your turns.
So you can't hurt yourself anymore. You have more control. But also, I've never read the ASMR section of the book it was in, so I didn't realize it was part of your mental state is how you get your transformation, which makes a lot of sense, because I feel like even though ASMR are supposed to be celestial descendants, I feel like most people, if they're playing Fallen, insist that their parent is a fiend.
Yeah.
Or something happened with their family that caused their family to fall. Like I've seen someone play that they were punished, and that's why their cleric was on their quest. And I was like, that's a cool that you want to ascend from being a fallen.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, it was supposed to be all about your relationship with like the celestial parent, or like at least your celestial heritage, like how you felt about it, but not on a daily or hourly basis.
Yeah.
I mean, my cleric had serious mommy issues and was searching for her father, like to figure out like what happened, like that she came about, but she died so many times. Funny, that's a story for another day. So, I mean, it looks like that's about all they changed.
Yeah, it doesn't seem terrible. I do hope that radiant damage is changeable to necrotic for the Scourge. Oh no, the Fallen. I do hope that does change over to necrotic if you go Fallen for your.
Well, you get the necrotic shroud. You get the necrotic shroud if you're Fallen.
True. Oh, that's right. This is
like
only
they're still
Celestial
keeping
Revelation
that.
option. Yeah.
Yeah, so with that, your wings look like skeletal bat wings, and
I want
you
those.
do necrotic damage.
Hey.
You're selling me on this way
I
more
did
than
read
I
a little bit further ahead, but now you'll have to choose between what kind of wings you want, because you might take Dragonborn for their wings now.
Dragonborn get wings now?
Yep.
Yeah.
What?
We'll probably get to that to the next one, actually, because they're right up next on the block, because nothing's in actually, maybe they actually did put it in alphabetical order for once.
They were before dwarf.
Yeah. They did right this time. Whew, I get nervous a little bit.
Yeah, it's true.
So, first thing, now I've played Dragonborn. DM Bacon and I have dragon history from our campaign together. And I will say that Dragonborns are a lot of fun. I enjoy them as a species. But this first thing here, it now functions as it did in Fizbins, which I did not like the changes in Fizbins personally.
You didn't.
I can be used as part. Not all of them.
I do not. I have never played a Dragonborn. I would love to, but I have not yet. So go slow down.
So originally, before Fizzbonds, when you used your breath weapon, it counted as an action, so you wouldn't be able to multi-attack. You'd be playing. But Fizzbonds changed it so that it's just part of a multi-attack. So you can and then hit someone, which makes sense because I feel like.
I mean, you're going to be breathing anyway.
Yeah.
It does. I guess for me, it came at such a time where I was just like, I got used to not using it all the time in a way. I preferred it being something that my character. It's a cool idea that you can like, as a monk, because my character was a Dragonborn monk, that I could kind of like hit somebody, bonus action, hit somebody, second attack, blast them with acid breath, flurry of, you know what I mean, and do something like that. It's cool, but it's also kind of a thing where I imagine that I'm not necessarily focusing on pulling all the acid out of my stomach to blast someone if I'm focusing on martial strikes. So in my head, the idea of me having to kind of like channel it up because I'm not used to doing it like a regular dragon because you didn't recharge it originally like that.
Yeah.
Was a lot cooler. It's like you're not a dragon. You have I guess I would call it like bipedal, like human-esque features. So it's harder for you to just summon breath whenever you need to. And I like that. But that's me.
I think originally it was also one breath per rest, right?
Yes.
Before Fizzbonds, now it's however you have uses equal to your proficiency bonus.
Yeah. So you can now just rapid blast. Again, not the end all be all. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just a personal preference for me. And kind of liking that limitation for the dragon.
I also want to stress that this is one of my DMing pet peeves, because I helped someone make a whole character and then they didn't play in my campaign anyway. But a Dragonborn does not have a tail, and it is 2 generations removed from a dragon. A half dragon has a tail, and their parent was a dragon.
I did not know there was specific generational delineation for.
Usually a half dragon's super powerful, and then you have Dragonborn, who in some cases like have barely any dragon traits, because they could be so far down the line that they pretty much. Well, no, we can't have interracial marriage anymore. Never mind, I take that back.
So everyone's the same.
Everybody's the same. I will say though that I do like the idea of a Dragonborn not having a tail. I think you could flavor it in there if you wanted to, depending on how you want to flavor Dragonborn for your campaign. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do think it's interesting that now, I kind of continue out with the Dragonborn breath weapon here. They're noting that you can change the shape of your breath.
Yeah. So
What?
a big thing from Fizzbonds and slightly before Fizzbonds was that pretty much every dragon type creature was getting a second type of breath.
Mm-hmm.
So for the characters Dragonborn to sort of like fit into that groove, they let them change between line or cone on the fly. Which I feel like if I'm running the game, you're going to have to learn how to use the other one.
Yes. Yeah. 10,000% yes.
I just feel like you're so far removed. You probably are good with one version of it. And then maybe you have to get real scared or someone has to be in real danger for you to figure out how to change that.
Or even you run into an actual dragon of your ilk and scale, and they teach you how. That's a cool story point.
I gotta go find this kind of dragon, man.
Yeah, it's like, I've never met another dragon like me.
And that happens. Like kobolds are technically part of dragon lineage, and dragonborn often like hang out with dragons. Or well, yeah, if you're chromatic, you're probably not hanging out with them. You're more like a slave. But
Subjugating.
yeah,
Yeah.
but they do hang out with them to kind of like get a little bit of that trickle down power and knowledge.
Like, hey, teach me a little something. 2 + 2 is 4. Now get out of my sight and fetch me. But the cone change, and I'm seeing also this damage scaling to 4d10 at 17.
That seems a little bonkers.
Yeah, so
especially because it's part of your multi-attack. Yeah.
So multi-attack level 17. If you're a fighter, you have second wind, which means you can do it all again. Which means technically, does that not mean you can just do it twice and essentially have potentially additional 40 damage per turn?
As
I don't remember. That's what it feels like they're saying.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the stipulation is. Like, if you can only do it once per multi-attack action, or like once per turn. I think it's once per multi-attack action. So if you can do it again, you can do it again.
That's
a lot of damage.
I'm scared.
That's a lot of damage.
But it seems like this is what they consider balanced. You know, you want to plan for this at level 1, so.
I mean, it's at 17. You're probably not killing that guy, but you're definitely taking the chunk out of him.
Fair. I think that's fair.
Or you're mowing down a lot of goblins in one breath.
Yeah.
And but it looks like at level 5, it looks like you're also now gaining the ability to sprout wings that appear to be made of the same energy as your breath weapon. You gain a fly speed for up to 10 minutes and use this once per long rest.
If you want to say you get a tail during that, sure. But if your weapons, if your wings and tail are made of your breath weapons, like, I mean that's a cool. Oh, that's a cool like
wings.
Animation.
Yeah, what the hell do acid wings look like?
Like, that's cool as like if you want to role play it, like your Dragonborn like hunkers down and then they start like and it's coming out and it starts to take shape. But also, if it's made out of whatever your breath weapon is made out of, I'm gonna turn those into weapons for you.
Would you?
I think I might go the opposite way.
Yeah. Because then they'd also have reach on it.
Yeah.
I would not.
I don't know if I'd give them reach.
You also have to find a way to make
You're gonna
the
give them
damage
little...
of that weapon make sense. Because it would have to scale upwards is the problem.
I was just thinking one die. Basically, it's the same as whatever your weapon is.
But it's, you know what they do with that.
Are you gonna give them little T-Rex arms of wings?
Well, I figure you still, when you have your wings, they don't open to 10 feet. You're still in your 5-foot cube. Same with your tail,
okay, so
usually.
you are giving them little T-Rex arms of wings. You got the little Cupid wings.
I think it would be hard to do with certain wing types or certain breath types. Like electricity, or you would have to lock each breath type to a specific weapon. And that may be the only way to kind of even it out. It's like, oh, if you have fire, you can make 2 1d4 daggers. If you have earth, you can make
not
one.
shaping. I mean, like they actually hit them with their wings or their tail. Because it's made out of the same energy as their breath. So, like, I'm thinking, like, if you're an acid dragon, you have acid wings. Like, one of your weapon strikes, part of your multi-attack can be 1d8 acid from your tail or your wings.
Yeah.
Even, I don't know, even that seems... I wonder, do you think that would cause too much bloat for, like, combat? I guess
You're just changing the damage type. I feel like the only people... Okay, so my table's different, but normal people are just like, how much damage did I take? Am I resistant to any of it? But my table's like, I need you to fucking tell me each fucking die you rolled and what kind of damage it was. Yep. But I think normal tables are just like, what's the damage? How much damage am I taking?
Ow.
That only comes into play if we're dealing with resistances.
Yeah.
If we're not dealing with resistances, I don't. Just tell me how much damage I took.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I dead?
Yeah, was any of it X? Okay, then.
Yeah. Yeah, unless I know I have the magical wristwatch of, divine fire resistance and I just took a fireball, I'm not going to think much of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just a my table thing. But I'm thinking, late game, most people, just if for some reason you're playing the way 2014 handbook like describes the scaling of how many magic items you're supposed to get, where you don't have basically any, that if you're 5, maybe this is you have a 10-minute chance to have magic weapons on you at all times.
Okay.
Obviously, as you guys know, I don't. Magic items are like candy for me. Here you go.
Yeah. Does anybody actually not give them out?
I don't. I try not to, but I lie. I do, but I try really, really, really hard not to. I don't want to overpower them.
Yeah, DM Grinch over here.
I want them to feel they earned it. No.
Yeah.
I like giving out lots of little silly ones that don't actually give them much, but are fun to play with. But I think I'm bad at it because so far I've given them a ring that lets them rewrite spells and the luggage from Discworld. So I think I'm already failing.
Okay.
It's pretty fun.
It's fun.
I've given because we started with Lost Mines of Felnelver and we had the Forge of Spells, what have you. I have sorcerers can like pour their own like bloodlines internal energy into the forge and make items and armor and stuff with some attribute that's related to whatever their bloodline is kind of easily. And like they have tons of powerful items, especially for how like low they are, comparatively speaking, they never use any of them. The magic item my players use the absolute most is a joke item called the banana phone that lets you cast sending 5 times a day.
Oh my god.
You should have known. You should have known. You knew exactly what you were giving them, and you knew they were never going to use this properly.
They were like,
Don't
this
they
item's
just
stupid.
mostly-
Why would you even do this? I was like, you guys use it every session, every in-game day.
What a dumb item. Use it now.
I love it.
But now we come to the thing that has saddened me greatly.
Oh
What do you
no.
mean? What do you mean, Okami? Didn't you read the first line? Dwarves have been streamlined.
Oh, sorry, it's the third thing in there. That's fine, whatever. It's the third thing that turns me into Darth Vader. You guys on the stream can't hear it. I mean, in the chat can't hear it, but people on the stream can hear Darth Vader shouting, "No!"
Let's go ahead and get into it. They mentioned that they all receive dwarven toughness, dark vision of 120 feet, which is cool. Glad they gave the dwarves long range dark vision. They were miners, so it makes sense. And an updated stone cunning. The good news is their little legs can take them so much further, so much faster.
I didn't realize that. Well, they're considering this an update. I'm pretty sure in Monsters of the Multiverse they updated all the playable races to 30 feet walking speed already.
It would make sense.
Just to keep everyone together. And I'm like, yo, how... Okay, hear me out. If you have people in your party that are only going 5 feet slower than you, what are you on to leave them behind? Like, you're trying to leave those people behind.
Yes. No, you're actively doing it. 110%, you're actively leaving them behind. Like, your goal was not to have them come with you.
Well, remember, though, how speed works. It's not that they're 5 feet behind you. It is that every turn you go, they're another 5 feet behind you.
Yeah, but they can catch up. They're only 10 feet behind if you dash. You just can't dash for too long.
They'll get there eventually.
They're little feetsies. You could still hear them running behind you, the pitter-patter of their tiny feetsies.
I knew you were going to say pitter-patter. I just now imagine dwarves getting the movement speed of 30 feet, that when a Goliath takes a regular step, you just hear like the comedic anime like scurrying noise.
Yeah. And like a little animation where the legs are like
legs are super fast swishing.
Kicking up dust clouds and everything like that. Like that is exactly how I want to imagine them moving. Or not imagine them. That's the only way I'll accept them getting 30 feet of movement.
It's true.
But here comes the true pain point.
He's so sad.
I think we need to give him a moment.
Yeah. Stone cunning is one of my favorite features ever, because the original stone cunning. Basically, if you're a dwarf, you just can look at hewn stone and it's just an intrinsic part of you, like, oh, I can tell you exactly who worked on this kind of architecture. And everyone thinks it's dumb, but like for roleplay, to have this dude who's just walking around, probably like some martial class, like you think he's a big dumb meathead and he just wants to fight, and then he's like, oh, let me tell you about the architectural stylings of the drow in the city of Menzo Berenzon. Come on, let's go. We're gonna go on a trip.
They only worked it with this kind of chisel for 25 years, 650 years ago.
It's so good!
I have to say, when I played a dwarf, I definitely used stone cunning every time I could too.
It is a very funny move to use. I
I mean, I wouldn't say no to also getting tremor sense every time I used it.
Okay.
You could just add it. You didn't need to take the flavor out.
Yeah, and I don't mind it being a short tremor sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the full, like, some crazy 120 feet of tremor sense thing. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
And especially since they're doing, well, they're making pretty much all the languages exotic now, the old stone cunning would come in handy, because you could be like, I know the kind of people who worked on this stone, so we got to go find a special translator for that if we want to read this.
Yeah.
But no, we don't need ROLE play. Nah.
No. We're in a no flavor zone.
Boo! This is Guy Fieri's worst nightmare.
Guy Fieri just broke into a dollar store and started shoveling spices from the spice aisle into his mouth. He's like, I need the flavor. Right now, he's overdosing on adobo, reading the 2024 handbook.
We need a button for that. It needs to be like an image of Guy Fieri crying, and it just says "no flavor zone."
Can we merge Murmur into Guy Fieri in the no flavors? We're calling out to you artists once again. All right, always reach out to us so we can get our dumb stuff made, please. We need it for the Steam deck for Okami to use.
God, this is amazing. This is just amazing. I don't.
What the fuck's going on?
It doesn't seem like they took too much more though from the dwarf.
Yep, seem like the only real changes.
However, here we go
into
God. The elves, and I'm going to start by losing my mind at the second line. I'm going to skip ahead. I don't care that they can get perception. I don't care.
Who cares?
Whatever, bro.
What do you mean the drow lost sunlight sensitivity? You live in a place called the Underdark. Not the dark, the Underdark, which means there's light, shade, dark, Underdark. That is darker than dark to me. You worship a spider queen named Loth. You literally think it might be a cool idea to become a half man, half spider at some point in your crazed career, depending on how much you love your goddess Loth. She does not like the sun. Why would she be like, you know what? I think my people need to just walk out in the sun all the time.
Yeah. Also, can I just point out, they took sunlight sensitivity from the drow, but not the Duergar.
I was gonna say, do kobolds not have it anymore either? Like, I'm pretty sure they still got it.
They're still sensitive.
Just the playable race. Like, oh, we don't want to take away this thing that, you know, this thing that debilitates you, that you can like role play your whole character around. Also,
I had a
like, give them sunglasses.
Yeah.
Boom.
Be creative. Have a player take medicine. Every day they roll a medicine check to see if they can make sunscreen so they can walk in the sun out of plants that they find. I'll do that for them if they want to get rid of their sunlight sensitivity for a second.
Yeah.
I would go on a quest to learn elementalism purely so that I could make a tiny thundercloud over my head at all times.
Boom.
Oh my God, the flavor.
I love the sunscreen idea. That's fantastic. But like, first you have to develop the concept, then you have to figure out what herbs help.
Mm-hmm. But like, that would be a fun quest, because maybe you're like, I've been outside, like you've been in adventure for some time. You're like, man, all my friends back home don't get to enjoy this world. I gotta find a way to bring my people into the light.
Yep. Then you become the savior for developing sunscreen.
There you go. Oh my God, look at the role play.
That's a great, like, okay, I'm not saying this is going to happen for sure, but I'm pretty sure they're going to make Drow society less based on evil. Just the way everything's going, I'm sure they're going to do that. So, like, if you're making sunscreen, if you're up here on the surface, what better way to get your not so evil people anymore up out into the light?
Yep. A public service.
Yeah.
Bro, you even have the spokesman of the multiverse. Dritz can come out there and be like, "What up, y'all?"
Hey, we can't enjoy this sunlight y'all got. Buy some sunblock. But that is flavor.
That's not allowed.
We also get the high elf starts with prestidigitation cantrip. I'm gonna let you guys know it took me 4 years of 5e to learn how to say that word. Because my brain, it's the only word my brain turned dyslexic on me for.
It happens.
But every you can replace it?
Yeah, every time you go to sleep, you can just pick another cantrip.
Wait, what?
That is a very weird choice for a racial trait.
What about high elf?
Which I thought
Picks a
subspecies trait.
That sounds so insulting.
Yeah, it does. It sounds really bad. Like at the beginning, I was like, we don't say races anymore because racism is easy to say, but speciesism very hard to say, and humans are lazy. We've gotten rid of racism, but calling someone a subspecies,
yeah, like that doesn't happen unless you're really insulting somebody on an area type level.
Yeah, wow, that's a deep one. That's. I guess maybe that's why maybe that is why we don't see any half races, because you'd be a half species. That just sounds terrible. That just sounds terrible.
This is what happens when you start doing linguistic gymnastics for stupid reasons.
Why didn't they ask Noam Chomsky to help with this shit? He's still alive. He can help you.
But I do think that the sensible thing would just be give a high elf the choice of a wizard cantrip at creation. That's it. We don't.
Yeah.
If you can switch between them, the way like lore-wise, when you have cantrips, it's stuff you can't write down because it's something you intrinsically understand. You can just carry with you. You don't need a spell book or anything like that to cast it. It's just something that you know how to do. This implies that every high elf has a portion of their brain that has developed to understand all cantrips.
They're essentially saying high elves are magic.
Well, I mean, you've always had that with Fey ancestry, but to me, this just leans so hard into the high elf stereotype of like they're all snobby and persnickety and like
wizards.
You know, the type that would freak out if they had a spot on their sleeve. Like this is just leaning that they start with prestidigitation just leans into that so hard.
Yeah, it doesn't make any logical sense to me. But again, it looks like it's also being done to say, hey, if you're an elf, you want to be a high elf wizard. The joke that people always make when they think you talk about D&D, and they're like, oh, you play D&D? What do you do? And they think everyone like pushes their glasses up with their middle finger and goes, I'm a higher cleric who's 13th level. And then no, that's not how we sound. Okay. That is not, like, I've heard the stereotype. That's not us. We have a lot of fun explaining it to people who understand it. But this just seems like we're really trying to perpetuate that one on us. Because that's the only way I'm gonna
all of
explain
those words, but more fun than that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's enjoyable to hear. It's not like painful to the ears and make you want to question whether you should be around playgrounds. Like there's just a lot to it. Okay.
Yeah.
That being said, it also looks like they're doing that with the Wood Elf. Because they're saying the Mask of the Wild has been replaced with the Druidcraft cantrip.
Which is ridiculous because the Druidcraft cantrip is junk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just... Yeah, I think I would rather be able to
Ooh,
hide.
I made a flower.
Yeah. I think I'd rather be able to hide because that makes me feel like I'm from the woods. Like, I get that their Druidcraft stuff is like, oh, I'm one with nature. But being able to just be like, I am now ghillie suit. Makes me feel more like I'm from the woods.
But also, the idea behind Wood Elves, going back to like 3rd edition and stuff like that, is they have treetop villages. They're used to being up in the foliage, hidden, raining arrows down on their unsuspecting enemies.
Yeah.
Like, their whole thing is they're one with nature to the point that they live in the trees, not that they're forest hippies. That's what the Furbolg were. Those big blue fun-loving guys, you know? That live at peace with the forest. Like, there's no need for the Wood Elf to now become the go-to druid choice. Why? Why take that away from them?
I could understand if they're trying to say that your Wood Elves now exist solely in the Feywild. Then maybe I could understand. Like, oh yeah, these dudes just kind of walk around and they're like, nature, nature, haha, it's doing weird shit, haha. But if you're going to be up in a tree, I don't think there's too many people who are like, yeah, I'm going to blow out the candle in my tree.
Oh, look at this little bud on my window. Boop. It's bloomed.
Yeah.
And also, why would I want to manifest? The first part of Druidcraft.
I like that.
Is manifest. Why would I want to manifest a cloud of rain or snowflakes that I can't hide in?
Yeah.
Just be an Eladrin, you weirdos.
Go outside. You're a Wood Elf. They also say now that each variant of elves has an associated pair of spells gained at level 3 and 5. Each spell is always prepared and can be cast once without a spell slot.
Okay.
I don't want to know what the associated spells are.
Why not?
I'm on a quest. As we...
Let's see if they're in the... If you don't have the books, you currently have access to... Oh, wait, they're in the new... Is it going to take me to... Oh, it took me to the page. Hell yeah.
Did it?
Drow get Fairy Fire and Darkness. High Elf get Detect Magic and Misty Step. And Wood Elves get Long Strider and Pass Without Trace. Oh, it also says Wood Elves have 35 feet walking speed. Why didn't they put that in the book? That's new. Or in this article.
Why?
You weren't faster because you were a Wood Elf before.
You spend part of the time swinging from tree to tree.
Apparently, they've also... I'm not seeing it noted. Did they remove elf weapon training?
While they gave weapon training to literally everyone else?
It looks like they did.
Because weren't they because each race were naturally proficient, like dwarves were naturally proficient with certain weapon, like each race was naturally proficient with certain things just by choice, you know what, their species, so they can't be proficient naturally. What am I doing?
Yeah, your species grants you nothing except magic and magicata oblongata inside your brain.
And sunscreen.
That's sunscreen.
You're Wesley. You know what? If you're gonna play a drow, you are the blade of the drow. You are literally Wesley Snipes' Blade as a drow, and you just walk outside with sunglasses on and beat people up so you can help them get outside. I don't know. Have fun with that one.
That does sound fun.
I'm next. Scared. I haven't gotten back to the page, but I'm scared.
Oh, next one seems easy peasy. Gnomes.
Gnome.
Speed's 30 feet. Okay, sure.
Oh God, I can't let my husband see this.
Speak of small beasts has been replaced with. Oh, do you just speak to any animals now? Oh, and it's the first one I've seen. You can cast it without a spell slot a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. Interesting.
Oh, so you can have up to 5 free casts to speak with. DM Lacara, I think you're about to have Dr. Doolittle.
I already do.
That's true.
I think you're about to have the Dr. Doolittle more.
They decided to do. Well, they lost the chicken this past session. They lost the chicken.
No.
No, it's okay. It turned back into a person.
I was kind of hoping it was going to stay a chicken for a little while longer.
It was supposed to, and then I realized that I had placed it in the middle of an anti-magic field.
Oh, no.
Which was your suggestion, actually.
I remember, yeah. When you said it, I was like, oh, you took it, yay!
Yes, I did. It was great. It went
players,
great.
I am not sorry for what you're encountering, because I have to look it up.
It was all good. We ended up with not a slaughter. They lost the chicken, so there is one animal slot to be refilled. But they decided entirely to go deal with a mansion filled with they have no idea what, purely on the basis that a pet bird was promised as part of the payment.
I don't see anything wrong with this.
Their motivations bring me a level of joy.
Aww.
That their motivations to adventure bring me a level of joy that I can't explain, because I can just see that there's like crisis, and they're like, there's a bird to be had.
Yep.
It's like, you will save this. You are the heroes of this village, and they're like, hey, cool and all, but can we get that bird?
Yes.
Just imagine the mayor being like, yeah, you don't want a parade? Just the bird?
I want to get out of the doorway. Thank you, Ace, for the raid. Bring them on in. Let's talk about D&D. Hey, that means my alerts are working. I was wondering about that. Thank you, Ace.
But that, I guess, brings us into the other part of the gnome, the rock gnome. You get mending and prestidigitation. The tinker trait has also been reworked. Its effects are based on a useless spell, on a useless cantrip.
They're based on prestidigitation. Wait, so you can clean a
Yep.
Oh, you can like make a rock look clean, or you can. That's weird. Oh, sure. Okay.
I
guess. Thanks,
so,
man.
So I don't even know. I don't even know how to process the idea of a rock gnome tinkering with something and being like, guys, look at what I've wasted all this time doing. Feel this rock. It's
Actually.
To be fair,
Actually, no, because in our campaign, a rock becoming warm just became a plot point.
Yeah, it's true. It may be a child.
You know
You'll
what?
have to find out.
There's, you know what? I take it back. Preach. I can't even say the word anymore. This is a great thing to add to anything. You know what? Because one of the things is that you can add flavor to something. And I'm just imagining them grabbing a rock and dropping it into a pot of water and being like, soup. Wow.
Oh, the rewrite of the stone soup
Yep.
story. I love it.
Yes. I have now used prestidigitation to make food because it does say you could. It says you could chill, warm, or flavor up to 1 cubic foot of non-living matter.
Oh, this stupid. Everyone, there's a very common joke that you see online where someone's like, "Oh, my DM didn't say I couldn't, so I just kept heating up a molecule with prestidigitation until it exploded." I'm like, no, don't, please don't. Please, let's not argue that.
You know what? I would allow my player to do it because I'd be like, you snuck that by me.
Yep.
But then I would do it back to them.
You're gonna get
Tenfold.
blown up.
Yeah. Oh, when I put that tiny rock in your pocket that you have no idea has somehow had a tiny little magic scroll stuck into it that every day is set to cast prestidigitation on itself. And I'm just rolling a D100 every session. You don't know why. It's just how many molecules it's storing up that day.
Oh my God.
When I roll 96 D100, you question what's about to happen to your character. I'm going to say a new sheet. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to be like, you brought this on yourself when you brought this prestidigitation into my game.
There's an entire aspect of our campaign that our characters have not discovered yet that's based in one of my weirder hobbies, and I cannot wait for them to figure it out, but it sounds a lot like this discussion.
Listen, sometimes you have to sneak those little things in there. Like you said, Okabe, they didn't say I couldn't.
Yep.
Let me...
I think they're thinking along the lines of like, you can make a little like mechanical like maid that goes around and casts prestidigitation and cleans things like. But the other options are so much better.
Yeah. I am not. This is not because I'm an artificer. This is because I'm a mad lad, and
yeah,
I am absolutely going to make someone's life a living hell. But honestly, I'm gonna say, and don't neither of you shoot me. This is probably the funniest role, ROLE, possible thing they've given any of the species. Like giving speak with animals and the cantrips to the rock gnome in a way really creates an idea of a story outside of the species of what these people do or why they may have certain things. Like it gives a DM who's new to things a platform to work from. Because you could say, oh, speak with animals. Yeah. If you're looking for a person who wants like ranger knowledge, maybe, or druidic knowledge, yeah, maybe they want to find the forest gnomes because there's a clan of them out there who just are shepherds. And all of them you speak with, like you can create things from this. It's the first time I've seen that in anything we've looked at in 2024.
You can do stupid things.
Yeah.
For those of you on Twitch who have no idea what's happening, why there was a map on there, Arfin in the YouTube chat made a map, and I brought it up, and I was realizing that I'm answering him in the YouTube chat, but you guys on Twitch can't see that, so you're probably confused as to why there was a hand-drawn map on the screen, but that is why.
That is a nice map.
Ooh,
but moving forward, guys, we got Goliaths who have made it from the monsters of the multiverse into 2024.
And they're faster now, too.
They're now 35 feet of moving muscle.
And they're officially making them based on not Monsters of the Multiverse. The book, Bigby's Guide, based on Bigby's Guide, they are now officially the children of giants, or like the progeny, as opposed to just maybe.
Yeah, we finally given them ROLE, some purpose, and it does denote that you do select the type of giant you descend from: cloud, fire, frost, or frost, hill, stone, or storm, and each gives you a specific benefit you can use a number of times equal to proficiency bonus. That sounds scary when I think of belts of giant strength. And I pray that the bonus you get is not that, because it is 2024 and I don't trust them. Because that would become monstrous very quickly.
I hope it's just like you get a cantrip or something. I hope.
Yeah.
I know that that's probably not what it's going to be, but that's what I hope.
Or now you're going to think I'm crazy for this, and I know this is absolutely not what it is. Make it that you gain the effect of your rune from the rune knight. So like make it almost rune based, similar to, I think, what was the Eldritch Knight? Which one was it? The fighter subclass Okami that used
Fighter's
runes on their
Eldritch
weapon?
Knight. Yeah.
Yeah. Give it that idea that they have a rune that they can just imprint on something a number of times per day. Like it burns the rune in there temporarily and they get a buff from it. Based on their giant type.
In my campaign specifically, we did use that Goliaths were descended from giants some generations past, what have you. But when I had started my campaign, Bigby's Guide hadn't come out yet, and neither had Monsters of the Multiverse. So in all of the starter content, whenever giants came up, like even Storm King's Thunder and stuff, there are sections where they say, hey, these are giant runes. Giants might be able to read them, but if you collect them, something might happen. And then never described any of them until Bigby or anything else came out. And that's crazy that there's literal quests in Storm King's Thunder that are gather the pieces of this rune, do the puzzle to put it together. It's a rune, it's full of magic. Doesn't say what it does. And says, maybe someone here can tell you what it does, but we won't. So, in my campaign, I do use Giants runes, but they're not how they're used in Bigby's or Monsters of the Multiverse now. There was a guy who made a guide that was like, hey, they didn't describe giant runes at all. So, I'm going to use the words that they had to make a set of runes. And if you perform a ritual, if you have specific components for each of them, you can imprint this rune on either a piece of armor for a defensive effect or a weapon for an offensive effect. And I was like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen. So in our game, that's the rune system we use. But like that idea that there's basically a whole branch of magic that you can study and get into is so cool. And they told you it existed, didn't describe it at all.
Sounds like
I mean, I guess they were, leaving it up to the DMs to come up with their own thing, but
also true. I could see that. I just think that that's kind of a bad execution.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have done better in their execution overall.
They could have at least said what the one you piece together is supposed to do. That they have a physical drawing of in the book and everything. They're like, nah, you don't need to know. That's not for you.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's like, you sure I shouldn't worry? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But your Goliath's now at level 5 can use a bonus action to become large, and they get advantage on strength checks, and their speed increases by 10 feet.
That's scary to think that someone just starts dashing at you and then just starts growing.
Yeah.
It just gets 10 feet faster and just charges at you more. I
You're
think
like,
personally.
they look. How fast are they coming at me? Oh no, they're getting bigger.
Oh yeah. It's
Man,
like,
it got bigger and bigger until it hit me.
It's like, man, they're moving pretty quick. Oh no, they've picked up speed. Wait a minute, hold on. That's a fun one to see it play around with.
It doesn't specifically say it here, but generally speaking, when you get a size larger, you get an extra die of damage when you're doing it. It's usually not the same size as whatever your weapon is, but you get at least some bonus in damage. They don't say that here, but if you're bigger, you probably have more force behind your blow than you had before.
Yeah. I would even be willing to, in a kind of balanced way, I would even say like, hey, you get to roll a dice based on your like proficiency bonus or like something like that. Like, oh, like you can roll a d4, or like if you're at a 5, like you can roll a d6. Like I'll give you the one up on an odd number. So you can have a little bit more fun with it, because you are building yourself in size and you're proficient at the ability. So
I like that. The next one is weird.
Yeah.
It used to be Little Giant, where you used to get proficiency in athletics, but now you just have advantage on saving throws made to end the grappled condition, and you get more carrying capacity, which generally nobody worries about.
You're a pack monkey.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Hold our crap. There you go. But the fact that no more athletics, but instead just specifically grapple, tells me that they are expecting every single player out there to be using grapple more often.
Zangief.
Yeah.
They want everyone to become a Russian cyclone and grab people like it's Street Fighter.
Oh no, Arvin.
I also now think of every Goliath. Oh no, that's not good. I also now think of the Goliath as like the back when we were kids and you played Pokemon. You had that one Pokemon that had all the HMs. Because you didn't want to. You learned very quickly that you couldn't delete them. You were like, oh man. I guess this one Pokemon's job is going to be just holding all these HMs I don't really need. This is what it sounds like to me in a weird way. Or it very much reminds me of that. And how it's going to become, I think, for some players, where, hey, you just need to have all of our stuff. So good luck. I'm never going to remember to have it. I hope the person that they give it all to is a good note taker. Be a shame if they didn't know what they had. Like spell scrolls. Spell scrolls. Moving on, though. We got halflings. Sorry, Okami. I just think about that all the time.
That's fine by me.
Unless
all the halflings are the same now.
Yeah, yay! I don't remember them having halfling nimbleness before, but halfling nimbleness is that you can move through the space of any creature that's a size larger than you. Halflings are small, so they can move through medium-sized creatures, but you can't stop in that space.
They've always had that.
They have? I didn't realize that was part of it. Usually if you move through something in your one size, well, I guess I let my players move through if they're one size smaller, but if it's an enemy, I give them the difficult terrain.
Yeah, no, they've always naturally, because they think the running joke is that like a halfling can run through, like they're very going back to like the old Hobbit thing, like where they came from in the older D&D editions. It's the idea that if you're fighting a troll or an ogre, something that's giant compared to everyone else in your party, for you, it's massive, so you can run through its legs and do silly things to get around its ability to hit you. It's all playing on that idea of kind of like a and that's why they called it a nimbleness, because you're agile, you can get through it very quickly, because for this thing to get to you, it's going to be more cumbersome because it has to swing through its own legs, kind of.
I gotcha.
I'll take it though. I'll absolutely take
That
it.
fish is going to be the death of me.
Uh-oh.
If you've been in the Discord, there's a fish that got shared the other day in a museum, and it is just the most ridiculous looking thing you've ever seen. It looks like it came right out of... It's almost like a Cheep Cheep. Actually, it's probably what a Cheep Cheep is based on, now that I think about it. Like, the face is just too... It's too stupid. It's too stupid. But now we get to human. Speaking of too stupid...
Yeah. You're now more aligned with varying humans. What we always
Blobfish
needed.
is pretty good, too.
Wow, you get inspiration every day just for being a human.
You. Just for being you.
Wow.
Yeah, this isn't screaming racial supremacy.
Oh, so glad that the wavelength was understood.
Yep.
It's true, though. You're resourceful, you're skillful, and you're versatile.
Everybody else gets stuff like...
You have freedom.
You just get extra everything. Like, hey,
yeah, you're free to be
you're
yourself.
Better than everyone else. Here you go.
You start with 2 feet.
You're an American, all right? You have
I'm proud to be an American!
All right? Proud to be a human. Because I know my feet. I don't like this. I mean, again, the human was always kind of the blank slate, so it really doesn't matter in the long run. But comparatively speaking, I think we've all just made the joke. The system looks for the most optimal build as it is right now. What's going to stop everyone from being a variant, from being a human? Just picking all the OP feats, since you have to play in your character at level 1. And breaking the game, making everything futile from a DM standpoint.
Hashtag diversity.
I just went and looked up heroic inspiration. Heroic inspiration is that you can reroll any die. It's not just a d20. What? I didn't realize you could reroll damage.
My brother in dice. Run that by me one more time.
Heroic inspiration, you can reroll any die immediately, but you have to use the new roll. But if you can gain, this is something that DM Bacon does in his campaign, where if you gain inspiration and you already have it, you can hand it off to another player. They're adding that as part of heroic inspiration here. So like you can hold on to it if you do something great and your DM wants to give it to you again, you can hand it to another player.
Interesting.
But reroll any die. Yo, I would be...
I've seen something similar before in a game. Actually, Heart and Clubs used it. Excellent Clubs used it for a stint where we were using it mostly to re-roll, I think, like hit die, not hit die, like damage dice, or sometimes like to hit. Pretty much giving ourselves an advantage is the way we treated it. But our stipulation was we had to call it before if we wanted to use it. So we kind of had to risk using it. It wasn't like, oh, I failed. Or actually, we edited it to get to that point because we did realize that it was getting to be a little ridiculous that you would just sit there and go, you know what? I need to re-roll this dice, because you were then stockpiling them. There was no limit on them. A lot of additions and subtractions had to be made for that one. But it looks like we get to the orc next.
Oh yeah.
Now included as a species, based on the monster of the multiverse, orc.
Is hold on a sec. Let me see if no, that's not what I want. Where are you, orc? Is that what they renamed aggressive?
Adrenaline? No, they can take the dash action as a
Oh.
bonus action.
Oh, that's
And
what
they
you
can use
got
it a number
instead
of
of
times.
aggressive? Okay. I guess. Oh, you gain temp HP when you dash, so that's kind of cool.
That seems a little silly now, because doesn't that mean you make the tank build that dashes in with adrenaline rush and just eats attacks?
Oh yeah, but you can only use it once now. In Monsters of the Multiverse, you could use it as many times as you had proficiency bonus, but now you can just do it once per rest. Interesting. That's a downgrade from something that just came out.
And I don't know. I think in a way though, at the same time, once you're in there, once you've taken the dash action to get in, all you have to do is fight, take a 10-minute break, you got it back. Because originally after you used it up, you had to long rest to get all of your proficiency charges back. So even if you burned 2 of them in a battle, until your party sat down for a long rest, if you ran into combat again, you couldn't do anything with it. You couldn't use your adrenaline rush. Here, they just need to sit down for 10 minutes after battle, and boom, next battle, you've got another one ready to go. It's almost as if they could have set it to your initiative. But
that
maybe
would be
they
too
realized.
close to aggressive. That's racist. Speciest now.
True. They've given them dark vision.
Oh, they increased the range? Okay.
But they've taken away powerful build.
Oh.
So powerful build was, if anyone doesn't know, it's you count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity, the weight you can push, drag, or lift. Basically saying that orcs are so naturally strong and just like genetically strength builds. The joke was that they were a strength build. This is pretty much saying, no, you're not that strong anymore. You're as strong as everybody else.
Your
so
muscles
we'll work together.
are toned down now. Now it's like you've built muscles for speed and dexterity, not for strength.
Yep.
Weird, but okay.
I don't understand why they would take that from them. It's not game breaking.
Yeah. That's a weird choice.
Yeah, like that was not the ability I feel that was going to shift the narrative of your game.
Serious question though. Like, how do you have in a game now something with like, okay, if you've taken out all of this stuff, like orcs' backgrounds, like all of their lore and everything, why would you pick a lot of these species anymore? Why would you pick an orc, say, to play if you're not looking to play a character that is struggling at whatever level of angst against, you know, the prejudice of everybody else, where they're like, oh, they're an orc, they must be evil and everything. Like, how do you tell those stories about overcoming any kind of personal struggle like that, or beyond a personal struggle, when you've removed all of the story that would give you that launching point?
I think the sad part is it's kind of I compare it to so anyone who's seen or who knows me outside of D&D knows that I'm a big fighting game player. It's almost the question as to why would you pick a character in Street Fighter who doesn't throw a projectile when I could just stand here and just throw projectiles and you can't do anything to stop me. But this is what we're doing. We're making the optimal character for the optimal situation. You only want this character, this character, this character. The rest are just NPCs probably. Or anyone who picks that, you're going to hear a lot of, that's not the meta. So why did you pick it?
Yeah.
And there'll be some praisings of people who beat the meta, I'm sure.
There's going to be so many. The joke always has been, if you pick a human, you're a boring person. Like, there's going to be so many boring people at the table now because they're just objectively better than a lot of the other races.
Yeah. There's no reason not to pick a human if you want to make an optimal build. You're actively crippling yourself by not picking human. If you're a wizard, you want to be an elf.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically a high elf. Because you gain additional cantrips. Like, we're essentially, we could probably sit in an episode and comb through and pick the perfect race class relations with the perfect feats and probably set up what would be considered meta.
Yep.
And that would be absolutely horrifyingly boring.
Halfling rogue, Goliath barbarian. I mean, you can just go down the list and read them off, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is not what we needed.
Yeah.
But what ended up,
there's been so much of who asked for this, and like we just want to know. We just want to know who asked for this.
Watsy, if you have an answer, just listen. We're not gonna hurt them. We're just gonna ask them a lot of questions. Very difficult questions with very specific answers. It would almost be like we would want. Yeah, it would almost be like we'd want them to read our minds here. That being said, we have finally the tiefling. Starting off, they have crippled where you come from by saying, choose one of 3 lower planes: abyssal, chthonic, or infernal. You get damage resistance and spells at 3 and 5.
Unfortunately, I can't see those. I don't intend on. I'm still hoping my players bought me the books because I don't really want to buy them.
No, I don't blame you. Okay.
I will not be spending that money.
Yeah, I absolutely cannot justify placing money in WotC new player's handbook or DM guides. Because there is absolutely nothing in there better than what I've already got in 5e as is.
Yeah.
And I think I've said before, I'm moving slowly away from 5e as time goes on and kind of hybridizing into just what I like and don't like at the table, which I think all DMs do. I think we all have been doing too as we've gone along in our DM journeys. And this is not any resource that I think any of us want to add to our repertoire.
Yeah.
It does look like they give us a little bit of a little joking thing about why I guess they've added the 3 races to that, and like a little pinch or a little notation on it, but nothing of anything useful. It looks like the Goliaths get to add. Here we go. The gifts. It looks like the Goliaths gain are in trade with their family lines. A descendant of fire giants can add an additional D10 fire damage on a successful attack roll. Huh?
Oh, interesting.
Huh? What?
Make it burn. Stone
A
Giant
Goliath
Entity can use a reaction to reduce your damage by So, if you're a Goliath Barbarian, if you're doing whatever... It's not Oath of the Ancients. What the hell is it called? Ancestral Guardian is what it used to be called. Whatever the new equivalent is. And you're a Stone Giant Goliath? Like, you're not taking no damage, bruh.
Bro, what is damage? You were one-shotting the game. Yeah, you've one-shot the game.
The part that boggles me is that they say, with the 2014 character creation rules, players often chose their class based on the ability score adjustments of the species, which took away from the customizability of character creation.
They really believe that, huh? They really think they fixed it?
I can't. I can't. I don't even have a snobby repost for that. Just go back and read your own player's handbook.
Watsy, hey, DM Shin here. I'm gonna let you know that you did not hit the mark here. You definitely missed. If your goal was diversity, you congratulations on your segregated bathrooms. Just, I don't know how best to put. Like, congratulations on literally failing at every turn here, because I can already pick out the best races. Correct species.
Like, their idea of taking away, especially like your ability score upgrades from race, was that so you wouldn't have to pick a certain race to pick whatever you were doing. But if you add them to backgrounds, then you're getting those points based on what your character has already done. Like, you can only choose those 3 things, meaning you're picking that background so you can play that character.
Yeah.
It's not like when it was still part of race or species, it was, I am this thing. I was probably good at, like, I was just born good at this thing, but I'm going to work around it. Now it's like, nah, all your characters, they went to school on their first day and they said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they just, whatever they said, that's exactly what they're going to do for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Not to mention that all 3 of the species that they introduced or changed are at least medium size. There's none of the anthropomorphic animals or kobolds or even kenku, any of the other things that have variant rules to make them PCs, like to make them playable races, like that. There's no variety there.
One of my favorite comments on the book was, man, Grung's lost out again. I can't believe this. And I can't stress enough, Grungs are frog folk. Grungs couldn't even make it into an official book. They only made it into a charity book for 5e. It's like, if you thought they were going to pick Grungs for the 2024 BHB, come on, man. I love Grungs too, but that was not the choice.
I would have taken a Knoll. I would have taken a Furbolg. I would have taken.
I would love me a Furbolg in there.
Kobolds. I mean, there are so many iconic, fantastic, offbeat races that would have been so much more fun. Like, seriously, who is beating down the door to play a Goliath?
What happened to the Warforged?
Or the Warforged.
I think
Cool idea.
Warforged and Artificer are coming out in the whatever book is going to have Artificer. I assume it's also going to have Warforged. I'm also worried that we just had Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, which is a book written by Bahamut about dragons. And then Monsters of the Multiverse came out. They didn't really tweak anything. Now they've changed dragons and Dragonborn again, but next year there's a book changing dragons again. And I'm like, are you gonna mess up the Dragonborn that you just made now?
Yep.
Which you just messed up. Well, you just changed like a year ago. Stop that. Pick something else.
The answer is probably yes.
Stop confusing us.
Because Watsy is a small child with grabby hands, they are prepared to just grab whatever the hell they want out of the ether and be like, it's ours now. We've made it lore, and you can't stop us.
And then we're gonna change it in 6 months.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, don't get comfortable, cause we ain't done yet.
They just want to monetize everything. I when they were like, yeah, we know this is a thing we can monetize further, so we might as well. Listen, most of the people, like, when you start your campaign, that's the kind of thing that people are going to stick with, what they started with. Like, you don't have to change it every 6 months. People probably aren't going to change what they're playing anyway.
Not often.
I might add a thing here or there, but like my campaign's staying pretty much relatively the same. I also like that if you scroll down towards the bottom of this article, there's new art to showcase species, but that art is all humans, because if you try to save it, it says new humans for the book. So you just showcase, yeah, they have flags and stuff. They're celebrating that they're the best race now. Okay. I don't think you did away with racism in the way that you thought you did away with racism.
I like that they have the one halfling there who's just like, me too. And they're like, nah, man, not you. You ain't got no choices. We just let you. It was our choice to let you come here.
Yep.
Don't get comfortable. What are you doing? That's why he doesn't even get to stand behind the banner. It's like, if you fall over, not our problem. We're human.
That's why that one guy with the black villain mustache but red hair is glaring at him.
Yeah.
That is Ron Weasley's child. Like, in the future. That's like his great-grandson. It's just like... he's a ginger. He's like, I hate everything. He's like, I'm a ginger with the with the brown mustache. I can't even explain this away to people.
So, I used this image when I said I could tell you what the file name is because I saved it. I used this image as the thumbnail for the YouTube video for this, and I have him thinking using. So there was a Kickstarter that happened a while back called Kalia's Chronicles of Runes, and the people who are making that made fonts of all the languages that occur in Forgotten Realms and pretty much all the multiverse places. They made a runic font for everything, so I wrote it in Dwarven font. And if you know me and have heard what I said at the beginning of this video, he's thinking, not my stone cunning.
It's gone, Okami. They took it away. Never coming back. Sorry.
Man.
It's my little Easter egg.
I will say, having completed, I think officially, this is it. We've completed 2024.
These are all the articles they released.
So hooray! We've completed yet another collection of ideas, which you guys may be able to see us talk more about if you happen to add yourself to the patrons.
Hi.
or subscribe.
I do have two patrons already, and I should give them a shout out, but I don't know how to look at. Oh, yes, I do. Haha, I do. I'm gonna give them a shout out because one of them has a really long name. They're both free tier, which you can totally do. Free tier on Patreon will keep you up to date with all the posts. You just won't be able to see the ones for other tiers. I don't know how to. I don't want to open that. I don't know how much of my info comes up on Insight, so I won't do that. But I will eventually be giving them a shout out.
We'll note the names. It's free stream.
Next time.
Time to do it. But you can join. You can become a patron. You can support by doing certain things in a very specific manner. And I think there's only one person who can explain it.
It's true.
To us. DM Lacara, what can people do to help out Okami and his channel?
It's very simple, everybody. Hit the buttons. If you have money, hit the buttons that give Okami money. And if you don't have money, hit the subscribe buttons, because those also indirectly give Okami money. And you can help us help him actually eat things with vitamins in them and stuff like that.
Maybe he will eat food that is so far from expiration he doesn't have to worry.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the future I would
love
to be in.
Fresh vegetables.
Okay, let's not get crazy. I do like. I can't say I don't like vegetables, just not spinach. Spinach doesn't do anything for me.
Basically, though, it is true. That is actually true. It took me years to find that I liked spinach. Not gonna lie. But DM Lacara is correct. It doesn't take much to help out. And we do hope that you guys always enjoy our banter, because I think DM Lacara and I keep coming back to help out Okami on his stream because we actually enjoy being here with y'all and sharing our vast opinions and flavor. Because Watsy won't give it to you.
We're trying to replace it.
Yeah.
We're trying to fill the hole that Watsy's leaving for you with our banter and quick wit.
But seriously, like, comment, subscribe, all those things.
Chat with us, send us stories. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. We all want to hear.
We'll always be happy to answer, because you can always find us. And look at that, Arvin, you came back in time.
Welcome back. You were going to say, apparently there was lots of novels being sent, probably?
Yes. Yes, I heard that there was actual discussion on last week's, which makes my cold little heart happy.
I know, it's so nice. It was the amount of novels being sent back and forth that when the other person stopped responding, I actually got sad. I was like, no, my human interaction.
Oh. That made me sad for a moment just now. And the way you said that, like, I owe you a hug, Okami.
I'm not going to say no.
Yeah, I know you won't. You love hugs.
I love hugs.
It's your weakness.
Nice warm hug from Karlak. Yes, please.
That's true.
Your voice was vibrating on that.
That's how excited about hugs I am.
The amount of joy in his heart that just swole up in his chest is immense.
So,
but I guess if we're done with 2024, what's next week? What's on the agenda for next week?
This means we're back on poll time. So, after this after this stream ends and it becomes a VOD, I put up a poll in the DM Roundtable chat that has one extra spot open, and that one extra spot is for you guys in the audience, so you can put in what you are hoping to see us talk about next week. I'm going to put the options both in the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat so you can see it. The poll's just open for 24 hours, so try to get them in quick, especially if you're catching the VOD later. Try Try to get in that 24 hours. Yep. Try that. I'm gonna put the options in there, but I'm gonna say them before I type them into each of the chats. Oh no, the gas is back. Oof. Before you guys came in, I was just like a gas factory. I didn't know what was going on. But I'm gonna try to make sure. I had said this to Shin at the beginning of the stream as well. I'm gonna try to, maybe I'll make the polls will have less options soon because 10 is a lot to go through. But also I will skip whatever we did that week. Like, won't be part of the polls no matter what. But this week's poll is gonna have some strange things on it compared to what we've done before. But this one's gonna have articles. So anything that I come across, like Headless Hydra Press releases a lot of articles that are like, oh, add this to your campaign if you want more engagement, blah, blah, blah. So we can take a peek at stuff like that. One that I think would be cool for us specifically to go through is to look at available 3D prints of creatures. Because a lot of the time, the people who are making them that aren't, oh no, I forgot his name. There's a guy who made a STL file, a 3D model of every creature in the monster manual.
Oh, wow.
And he made them, and they were so good that WotC was like, yo, can you change the names of the ones that we have the trademarks on? You could keep the rest of them up. They're real good. How about you just come for us and start making minis, because you're obviously very good at it. I can't think of his name. I think he's like 350Z or something. But I think it would be cool if we looked through them, because a lot of times that I come across big lists of 3D prints, they'll say they're one creature, but you look at them and you're like, I don't really think it fits that bill, but I know some creatures it could fit the bill of. I know how I could fit this into my campaign. And I think that would be fun to go through.
It would make for good visuals on the video too.
Yeah. And it's also a good way to cross-pollinate all these other people who are doing all this cool stuff, and you might not have seen it. Not that everyone has a 3D printer, but I mean, you could also just download the STL file and use that 3D model in your virtual tabletops as well. That kind of stuff. It's multi-purpose.
This is true.
Creatures. So we've done those a bunch before, but we love doing them. We love talking about puddins and gray witnesses.
Oh, yes, the gray witness is my buddy, the gray witness.
Next up on here, we were using homework, and basically that's just like not a full supplement, like a huge hardcover book, but a miniature supplement. In this case, the one that I had picked out from my bookmarks before was Archibald's Archives, which is a lot of Artificer type stuff, and it's obviously from Grimm. There's no way it didn't come from Grimm, but we can talk about that one.
I was gonna say this sounds like it came from him.
Yeah, 100% it's from Grimm.
Okay.
Items, self-explanatory. Spells, self-explanatory. Subclasses.
No, explain it.
If it was my table, they would make me. I guarantee it.
Needed to explain it to me.
Tools. So anything from programs or little things you go on. Like there's specific things that I use to make basically monster stat blocks. That'd be cool to show off. I know a bunch of you also have your own tools that you like to use. And then the last two options are we just go through an adventure. One of the things we had talked about last week when it was me, DM Shin, and Dungeon Mommy, I had a brain blast where I was like, what if we go through an adventure that someone made, and then we cycle through one of us DMing it for the Patreon content? That could work. Because then basically all the hard work is done. It's just whatever flavor that DM wants to add. Plus you can throw in gray witnesses or puddings or whatever else you want to throw in that we've also talked about.
Yeah.
That could be fun. Maybe we should pull apart an adventure next week. I think that might get my vote.
Okay. And the last one is zines. I put them in their own category because a lot of them are shorter than I would say the homework in air quotes assignments are. But usually they're like, here's this system agnostic thing you can throw into your campaign. Or some of them are, here's like 4 things you can throw into a campaign. Doesn't matter what system they're in. So I gave them their own little area. It's looking like adventures.
Like there's a lot of
boys.
There's gonna be some fun action.
Yeah. The Therian Throats.
Sounds like a lot of fun options.
I'm in favor of too, because I was just thinking that I wanted to start putting together a one-shot with the commoner backgrounds and the Grey Witnesses.
Ah, yes. I support this. I support this 10,000%. And I think that's going to be a fun thing for us to look at too, because I think it's going to really have us flex our DM brains and really get to show people a little bit of what we do.
Yeah.
I think we've given people a lot of our ideas, but not getting to show them a lot of our practice. I think that'll be fun to do.
Yeah.
Don't cry, Arvin, because you are always happily welcome here.
Instead, think about what you'd like to see next week.
Yeah.
You can even tell us on the
Look at
Discord.
some weird
We know
stuff.
who you are.
Yeah. And maybe we should look up and maybe we'll do something weird since, next month is everybody's favorite scary month.
Ooh.
Maybe Therian Throats will pop up there.
Ooh.
But no.
Oh, different.
But I think till then.
I like that. I would like to go through like a campaign setting at some point, but that's a lot of reading, and I don't think we would be able to, like, it would end up being longer than the Empowered, and I feel like what we did with the Empowered maybe might have driven one of our own off.
We were in a very fledgling stage of things, trying to figure out how things were going to work. Yeah. Now we have a stride.
Yeah.
Maybe our stride will one day summon them back. Maybe they will see that it's okay now. It's safe.
Yeah. We won't PvP each other unless we're PvPing each other. This isn't at some point I would like to not necessarily repurpose the rules from Arena, that board game that I have more boxes of than I am tall. But one of the modes in that is PvP, and there's like different modes within PvP. Like you can do PvEVP where like there's a boss somewhere on the stage and you're in groups, or free-for-all trying to beat the boss but also each other, that kind of thing. I think that for a one-shot, that's easy to repurpose. I'm not saying I would like to run a campaign where we're constantly fighting one another, but I think for a one-shot, or even if like you all get together, I can say with certainty that dragon game with the marbles that I was super excited and figured I would use as like a backdrop for my campaign at some point, like just the idea of it where you have Fafnir is ing, but it's actually just a marble, and you're like building things to stop the marbles from destroying your civilization. I thought that was really cool, but I couldn't put in my Kickstarter payment. They said that my credit cards aren't accepted anymore, and I was like, I guess I'm not getting this. That's fine, whatever. But I mean, you can still repurpose that idea. I don't know what was going on, but apparently any credit card any credit card issued through PayPal flagged their bank in, I want to say they're in Poland. I think they're in Poland, as like an illegal banking system. So all of us who had PayPal credit cards, we just got asked out at the end. Everything else worked fine until it was time for them to take payment. I was like, well, that sucks. And they were like, well, it's your fault. I was like, why is it my fault? You're the one whose bank is apparently illegal.
You're the guy. You're the people doing illegal shit. What do I do? Like, trust you with money.
So I won't have that.
That's never
but
a
I have,
good sign.
Yeah, I have plenty of other board game stuff I would love to reuse for campaigns and stuff. And I think that could all be pretty fun.
And hey, you know what? Maybe if you have some cool stuff that you'd like us to look at, feel free to shoot it our way, and maybe it will end up on DM Roundtable. Maybe we'll talk about it and dissect it in real time.
Yeah.
Arvin, that's a great idea. I didn't realize there was a section where you could... Oh, you mean like the free modules? Oh, for sure. For a second, I thought you meant that there was like a section that was just like people being like, here's the spine of my campaign. And then I was like, oh, he means the modules. Yeah. That works too.
I gotta drop off, guys. This was fun as always.
This was good. I'm excited to go back into just random homebrew territory too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It'd be good to get back to the people. Get out of the Watsy waters.
Yeah.
But until next week, guys, we hope you guys have fun at your tables and get to roll some dice. Definitely want people to roll dice. I'm rolling dice this weekend, so I'm excited.
Oh, lucky.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah, we're doubling down. We're doubling down this month and getting as much dice rolling in as possible.
Lucky.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's not like we're jealous or anything.
Oh, I will leave you with this story. DM Lacara. I told it earlier before you got here, I think. We are running Waterdeep, as I've told you guys before, in this campaign that I'm playing in on Sunday. And we're standing in our tavern, we're talking, and a white cat walks into the tavern.
Mm-hmm.
We have a ranger who's part of the Emerald Enclave. He looks and he goes, pss, 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 pss. The cat looks at him and goes, I've come with a message from the crow. And we realize it is a man who was wild shaped into a cat. We spent the rest of the day crying, saying, I cast. I had to leave you with that as my moments from the table, because watching my ranger cast in real time is probably the greatest thing I've ever witnessed at D&D, because it's his first campaign.
Oh,
and
that's amazing.
I think he finally felt the full extent of D&D. He was like, I love this game.
I get it now.
Yeah. Yeah, he had the most real... He finally did it and D&D'd, and he was like, yes.
I love that moment where you can see them be like, oh.
Like, this is D&D.
Yeah.
It's what I've always wanted.
Yeah. I love it.
Well, we will bid you adieu, DM Lacara. Have a good
night. Oh, have fun.
We'll follow her off. I don't think Dungeon Mommy's coming, so I think we can call this episode quits.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Please leave us your stories in the comments. Come talk on the highlights that get put up. We really do love hearing your stories. Please share in the D&D with us. Those of you on Twitch, bye, everyone. I'm going to... I will definitely make sure to share the Twitch VOD. I have to do it manually because of the streams that I'm hoping to get back to where I finish cataloging stuff. I'm hoping I get back to those. But yeah, I will manually put this up. So later, Twitch. And again, Ace, thank you for the raid. That was amazing. And now YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, I'll kiss all my dice. But I'm going to get out of here. That's what's going to make me famous.
Share what happened, Arvin. Damn, in 2014, I will definitely make sure I share. All right, 2014, that's a deep cut. Damn.
We'll see you in the Discord, Arvin.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you the play-by-play, Arvin.
Hell yeah. Bye, everyone.